Hey everyone, I haven't uploaded a video in a while, sorry for that, but I wanted to have at least some interesting stuff to show before making one. These last few months I've spent most of my time rewriting existing systems to not only work in God of War, but also to be scalable for what I've planned in the future. And now I'm finally at the point where it all comes together. I'm finally able to show you why I put in all this effort, why it was necessary to improve the game, and what concrete features I'm now able to implement thanks to those changes. So, let's boot up the game and take a look. You can already see some changes in the main menu. I always wanted my game to have an old school look, and I was always bothered by the fact that the game looked like a PS1 game instead of a DOS game. Remember, my primary inspiration is the original Alone in the Dark trilogy, which is after all playable on DOS. And there is a significant difference in a DOS art style versus a PS1 art style. So now my game looks and feels more DOS-like. Not just in the main menu, but also in all the other menus. We'll get to those in a bit. I'm currently testing if I can mimic the hand-drawn art style from Alone in the Dark while using a moving camera. That's what this scene is for. I haven't made a final decision here yet, so let's move on to the next topic. In my last video I talked extensively about wanting to implement a proper combat system for my game. And I got a large chunk of what I've planned to do done by now. You can see here two characters. One is controlled by me, the other by the AI. That's one of the first major rewrites I had to make, decoupling the character and its controller mechanic. From a technical standpoint, it's now possible to have any character as the player character, as well as an AI-controlled character. This is useful in case of cutscenes where I want the player character to move to a specific point. But it's also really useful for more complex AI behavior. Because now, every AI-controlled character can have its own behavior script, basically commanding that character. This script can be changed easily during runtime, for example if a character is a boss unit with specific behavior for specific phases. This was almost impossible to do before. These controllers were the foundation needed to build the whole combat system around. I've added stats and equipment to characters, which allows them to attack and deal damage to each other. The damage calculation is relatively simple for now, but I got one important rule implemented. It doesn't matter whether the player or an AI-controlled character does damage. They all battle via the same system and have to follow the same rules. Why is that important? Because weapons, armors, buffs and debuffs now always work automatically for both enemies controlled by the computer and the player. Yes, you heard right. My game supports proper debuffs now. I've already implemented a slowdown debuff as well as a poison cloud. Which leads me to my next segment, rituals. Let's perform a ritual to cast a poison cloud spell. I've changed the ritual screen a lot. For one, because I wanted it to fit the DOS theme better, but also to make the user experience better overall. The 3D preview was hard to read in my opinion, which is kinda important if you want to cast the right spell. So instead, you have a 2D view of the ritual you are about to perform. Once you are done, the ritual will be placed in the world and is active. Let's lure the other character into the ritual circle. Notice the little fog when spawning the ritual and the effect once some character enters it. Due to the rewriting, I am now able to customize each ritual both in functionality and in visuals, adding much needed polish and variation to that system. I hope you are as thrilled about the improvements as I am. This was my vision of the game when going into doing the God of War rewrite. and finally seeing it all come together feels really satisfying. Next one. Just like before, you'll learn many rituals by reading books in-game. While I certainly liked the 3D close-up on the book, it introduced a lot of problems back when I implemented it. The text was difficult to read, books ended up staying in the air, and just adding one new book to the shelf was a lot of work. Not to mention the unnecessary performance cost and the interaction with other systems like enemy AI. Now I'm just doing what Alone in the Dark did. An extra screen for reading the contents of a book is much more reader-friendly, makes less problems with the gameplay, and helps me make book creation faster. It also allows me to call this screen for book reading from the inventory or other places, which wasn't possible before. So it's not just closer to the DOS style, but it also has major benefits for the game overall. On that note, I also had to rewrite my font generation script. I made a video on creating your own bitmap based font in Godot 3, but Godot 4 works differently in that aspect. You might know that Godot 4 already allows to use bitmaps to create monospaced fonts, aside from TTFs and other actual font files. The problem is, I want to use a custom-made font, which I've already created a PNG file for, but the font just doesn't look good monospaced. Non-monospaced bitmap fonts need to be provided with a special FNT format. So what I did was to rewrite my existing font generator from Godot 3 to create such a file. This is what the font looked like up until recently in Godot 4, and this is what it looks like now. A big improvement in my opinion. So, these were the major changes I made over the last few months. But what's next? I plan to release an update to A Home in Darkness by the end of October. This update will allow you to play around with the new systems. This will also be the last major update before the 1.0 release. That release will hopefully be by the end of the year. I'm not making any promises, I'm just stating what my plan currently is. Game development has a tendency to take much longer than anticipated, and the rewrite itself took much longer than expected. Thank you for your patience so far. I hope today's video proved that the game is still something to look forward to. Anyway, that's it for today. The next video of mine will probably be the announcement of the update, so stay tuned for that. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, bye bye.